Tonight, a complex challenge as discussions continue over plans to house 300 asylum seekers at a former army base in Inverness. Community figures are calling for a reasoned debate.
These people are somebody's son, somebody's brother, somebody's father, somebody's nephew, and they at some point have had a life just as we have.
Also tonight, a former patient of disgraced Dundee surgeon Sam Eljamel says she's confident that police will find that she was the victim of a crime. And in sport, Aberdeen fly out to Cyprus for the Europa Conference League tie in Larnaca. Good evening, I'm Norman MacLeod and this is the STV News at 6, live from Aberdeen. As Highland councillors prepare to meet tomorrow to discuss plans to move 300 asylum seekers to a former army base in Inverness, community leaders in the city are appealing for reasoned debate and calm. Concerns have been raised online over the proposals for Cameron Barracks, with a petition against the plans gathering pace. Charities and groups say the move must be managed properly, but also with compassion. Nicola McCallie reports.
It's just over a week since plans to house 300 asylum seekers at Cameron Barracks were revealed. Since then, the issue has caused division, politically and in the community. Online, a petition against the move has reached over 10,000 signatures. With talks of protests and counter-protests, community leaders are appealing for a reasoned debate and some compassion.
They will move away from everything that they know and the support of family and friends. So that was what kind of stirred us to want to say, there's something different. There are people behind this. These people are somebody's son, somebody's brother.
Highland-based children's campaigners spoke up online against hate speech and say language used in the debate is important.
It was just quite a simple reminder that we're all role models for children and they're watching our behaviour right now. That children will be looking at every post, every comment on Facebook, and they're learning from that. And if they start to realise that that's acceptable, then that's the way they're going to behave when they go into schools.
Tomorrow, Highland councillors will hold a special meeting to discuss how the region will deal with the issue. It had been claimed the authority had not been consulted on the plans, but it's emerged an invitation to an online meeting had been missed in early October.
It's a challenge, of course, and I'll be looking for reassurances because it is, after all, in the centre of Inverness and it's going to have a big impact on people. Security is obviously part of this plan, but overall I want to see the organisations, public, private, voluntary, working together, cooperating.
We need to know who they are, so we need to know what languages they speak and what their background is, but most of all, we need to welcome these people into Inverness and we need to reassure the public.
Today, Scottish Secretary Douglas Alexander said it was unfair to say there had been no dialogue with the relevant authorities.
The legal obligation that we have as a UK government to provide appropriate accommodation to asylum seekers is one that is a matter of significant public sensitivity. But I don't think it would be fair to suggest that there hasn't been engagement by the Home Office colleagues who lead on this matter for the UK government with a range of local organisations, including the Scottish Government.
Let's keep calm, have a rational discussion about this, find the correct solution. But it is not Cameron Barracks in Inverness, and a huge number of constituents have made that absolutely clear to me. And my question to John Swinney is, will you support Inverness? Will you ask the UK government to think again?
Tomorrow's meeting will open up more debate on how the Highlands and its services will cope with those being sent here to the barracks. It's expected that members will agree to write to the Home Secretary to press for more details on how it will happen. Nicola McCallie, STV News.
A former patient of a disgraced Dundee surgeon says she's confident that police will find that she was the victim of a crime. Jules Rose was the last patient that Sam El-Jamel operated on at NHS Tayside before he was suspended in 2013. Lynn Rankin is in our Dundee newsroom. And Lynn, Jules Rose is due to meet the Lord Advocate.
Yes, Jules is due to meet Lord Advocate Dorothy Bain, Scotland's top law officer, for a third time in less than a year. Jules and another patient, Pat Kelly, first complained to police 7 years ago about the treatment they received at the hands of El-Jamel and NHS Tayside. He spent 18 years at the Health Board and was head of neurosurgery before he was suspended. Now, despite police officers taking statements from multiple patients, little progress was made. And at the start of this year, the Lord Advocate intervened, saying the police investigation has simply not progressed as it should have. But Jules is confident that her personal treatment meets the threshold of criminality, and she's hopeful both Police Scotland and the Crown Office will agree.
The evidence that I have submitted and my third statement not long ago is extremely damning. And as we've always said, this wasn't just a one-man operation. The Health Board allowed or ignored El-Jamel to commit this butchery, and they are equally culpable within this biggest medical scandal in Scottish history.
Well, for more than a decade, Jules has led a campaign for justice alongside more than 200 former patients of El-Jamel. They won their fight for a public inquiry, which has now started. The inquiry will hold 2 days of hearings later this month and is encouraging core participants to suggest lines of investigation, possible witnesses and any key material the inquiry should look to gather as evidence. Those at the heart of this inquiry, the patients, want no stone left unturned in the quest for the truth. They'll give evidence in the spring.
Lynn, thank you for the update. A police officer who was involved in the arrest of Sheku Bayoh, the man who died in custody 10 years ago, said the incident still haunts her to this day. Nicole Short was one of the officers who responded to reports that Mr. Bayoh was carrying a weapon in a Kirkcaldy street. She wants her name cleared after allegations that race was an issue in the death. Our political correspondent, Ewan Petrie, has the story.
There's a part of me that died that day, and she's never came back.
Nicole Short was one of 6 police officers called to multiple reports of a man carrying a knife in Kirkcaldy 10 years ago. Sheku Bayoh later died after being restrained by her colleagues.
I was shouting, get back, stay back. His face just got really close to me, and I was running before he even knew it. I was running away and I was screaming no. I knew he was going to hurt me, and then I felt the punch at the back of my head.
Colleagues told Nicole Mr. Bayoh stamped on her when she lay on the ground. Doctors found no evidence of significant injuries, but Nicole believes fellow officers saved her life.
I staggered over to the other van, and that's when other officers arrived.
But you thought you were going to die that day?
Yeah.
Nicole stepped down in 2019 and still suffers post-traumatic stress disorder.
And that was what you had to be prepared to deal with?
Yeah.
This afternoon, her own lawyers brandished a knife similar to the one police say was recovered at the scene. The public inquiry is looking into whether race was a factor in how police dealt with the incident.
Was there a racist element to this? Were you or any of your colleagues racist?
No, not at all. For all these years, I have walked about with this question mark, this cloud over me, and that's why I'm speaking out now, because we're not that.
Last month, the inquiry chair and legal team resigned after Lord Brackadale met with the Bayoh family. Officers have also expressed concern over the First Minister's invitation to meet them. Today, the family described Nicole's words as grotesque.
There's only one person that died that day, and that's why there was a public inquiry. A 31-year-old black man who was unarmed. Peter Watson can wave about a knife all he wants. The reality is, the facts are, when the police arrived, he was unarmed. He was CS sprayed, Pava sprayed immediately. And then there's an incident between him and Nicole Shaw. But following that, he is restrained by up to 6 police officers. They use handcuffs, ankle cuffs, leg restraints, up to half a ton weight upon him, multiple lacerations, a broken rib, a fractured rib, cuts, etc. And within the space of a few minutes, he is not breathing. He dies.
The inquiry is in its final stages, but an already lengthy process has been delayed even further. Ewan Petrie, STV News.
It's been dubbed the most radical reform of land ownership since devolution. And tonight, MSPs will vote on the final stages of the Land Reform Bill after looking at 400 amendments. It aims to tackle the concentration of Scotland's land ownership, but rural community groups claim there are serious flaws. Here's Hayley Bomma.
There are big questions surrounding Scotland's land. Who should own it and how much of it? How should it be managed? And what role do local communities play in all of that? The Land Reform Bill aims to address these questions. If passed today, it would mean estates over 1,000 hectares must produce a land management plan. And if put up for sale, its owners would have to inform the Scottish Government, who will also have the power to divide up large pieces of land. Communities will also be given opportunities to have their say on what happens to it.
We're still concerned that what we're going to have in the statute book is flawed legislation. As drafted, could be quite damaging, so it will slow up the property market. It might stop investment coming in, and that's not what we want to see. We want to see more opportunities for growth, more houses, more delivery for nature and climate. And as I say, as drafted, I really don't think that the bill will deliver those outcomes.
Farmers also have concerns.
The requirement to produce land management plans if you are over 1,000 hectares in size, which has unfortunately come down from what was originally proposed at 3,000 hectares, and that will pull a lot more of our farmers into scope, which will be an additional cost burden and a time burden, something that they haven't had to deal with before. For people who are over 1,000 hectares again, those farmers will potentially have to have their land lotted into different parcels. The impacts of this are not clear.
There are a lot of details in this bill. Over the past week, ministers have been looking at around 400 amendments.
I believe it is being done in the right way, and I think it's important to remember just how much scrutiny this bill has received, how land is managed and owned. Those structures are really complex, which means that if we're trying to address those issues, some of the means that we have to do that are going to be complex too. There's no getting around that. But that's because of the issues that have built up over years, and that's what we're trying to address through this bill.
An opportunity to benefit Scotland's land and generations for the future, or an unworkable proposal. Ministers will vote on the legislation in just over an hour's time. Hayley Bomma, STV News.
A major policing operation is underway to tackle violence and antisocial behaviour on Bonfire Night. Last year, police and firefighters said they were bombarded by missiles and fireworks in incidents across the country, with shops and bus drivers also targeted by youths.
Unfortunately, what we have seen every year over the kind of last decade is that around this period we will be subjected to some kind of either act of violence, threat of it, or an attack on crews. And what I would reaffirm is that we have a zero tolerance policy to that. It's absolutely unacceptable. Ultimately, what we ask people to think about is that the crews that are responding to these incidents are usually from the communities that they're responding to, that they are parents, their mums and dads, or their sons and daughters from those communities.
A man has been arrested and charged in connection with attempted murder following a serious assault on a Fife High Street. Emergency services closed off an area of Newborough just after 7 this morning after a man was rushed to hospital. His condition is not known. Officers were seen carrying out door-to-door inquiries throughout the morning. The force confirmed tonight that a 42-year-old man is due to appear in court tomorrow. Blocked emergency vehicles, people parking on road verges and queuing cars backed up onto the A9. There are warnings that levels of tourism in parts of Highland Perthshire are becoming dangerous. A public meeting has been called in Dunkeld next week over road safety concerns. Businesses there rely on tourist trade, but some residents worry the area is struggling to cope. Fraser Nicholl has more.
It's like something off the front of a postcard at this time of year. The pretty, picturesque Perthshire town of Dunkeld, a gateway to the Highlands and clearly a hit with visitors.
Oh, amazing, yeah, amazing. There's no place like Scotland.
We've just came up from Falkirk today, so basically just wanting a bit of a change of scenery.
Well, we're visiting from Glasgow
and we wanted to come to Dunkeld because we've heard actually very, very good things.
This is your reminder that it's getting into the best time of year to go on this day trip from Edinburgh and Glasgow.
Often described as a hidden gem on social media, Dunkeld has increasingly been picked up on by vloggers and TikTokers.
This morning I had a bit of time to go for a walk at the Hermitage near Dunkeld.
And is understandably somewhere you want to shout about if you're the local MSP. But the Hermitage is maybe the clearest example of the area becoming somewhat of a victim of its own success. The Woodland Walk, cared for by the National Trust for Scotland, has limited car parking, and at peak times has seen drivers backing up onto the A9 and even parking on the road verges.
Especially with all the autumn colours, it should maybe be no wonder that so many people want to come and visit this place, but the number of visitors coming to the Hermitage is growing, and that growth is stark. In the entirety of 2023, 88,000 people came here, but in this year, in just 8 months, that number has shot up to 350,000.
So it's definitely worth seeing, and we want visitors. We want these numbers. However, it is about having that plan B. If there is signage out to say car park is full, you know, what is the plan B? There are alternative National Trust for Scotland sites like Killycrankie up the road and Lynn of Tummel. And just being vigilant in the car park and staying safe.
It's just bottlenecks everything.
Back in the town itself, road safety is now the subject of a public meeting that's been called next week. Many of the businesses here rely on tourist trade. They need visitors. But residents worry their town can no longer cope with the number of cars and about access for emergency services.
I think one of the key factors needs to be about what public transport accessibility and provision is there in the village. Can we do more about that? Can we offer incentives for people to come by public transport? One of the questions that has to be addressed at the meeting is actually more parking the right thing? You know, is if we provide a bigger car park, is that actually going to help the problem, or is it just going to shift the problem to a larger scale?
Police Scotland says it's aware of concerns about traffic on the A9 around Dunkeld and continues to take action where necessary. Perth and Kinross Council says it stands ready to respond to any specific parking concerns raised, as the community here tries to balance the town's tourism needs with the needs of the town itself. Fraser Nichol, STV News, Dunkeld.
That takes us to all the sport with Chris.
Your window to sport. C.R. Smith sponsors STV Sport.
A very good evening. Well, Aberdeen beat the Har and jetted off to Cyprus this morning ahead of their Europa Conference League match with AEK Larnaca with an injury-depleted squad. Well, missing from the flight to the Eastern Med were midfielders Ante Palaversa, Sivert Helpner-Nielsen and defender Alfie Dorrington. But Don's manager Jimmy Tillene can call on the fit-again Emmanuel Jamfi with the left-back ready to play his part. The Dons Europa Conference League squad arriving at Aberdeen Airport this morning. The Red coach filled with players who very much need to deliver an improved performance above the dismal level of the 6-0 thrashing in Athens 2 weeks ago. Alongside established first-team names, young right-back Dylan Lobban is on the plane and perhaps could retain his place in the starting lineup. But it's in defence and midfield there are issues, with Sivert Nielsen still not fit to play, and it seems Ante Palaversa and Alfie Dorrington have also not travelled. Emmanuel Jamfi, the German left-back, has missed the past 4 games, is on the plane and could slot into the 5-man defence. Well, Aberdeen head to Cyprus for the first time since 2017. An exit against Apollon Limassol that is better remembered for ugly scenes when riot police attacked Don's fans at full time.
Manager Derek McInnes accused the authorities of heavy-handedness and says he was spat at by opposition supporters. From Cyprus, Chris Harvey reports.
Just seconds after the full-time whistle sounded, ending Aberdeen's European dream. A different team will be the opponents tomorrow, but it's the same stadium, as that fateful 2017 match was held at AEK Larnaca's home ground. An 8,000-seater stadium, but housing... I remember 2017 like yesterday. Now, St Johnstone boss Simo Valakari is delighted to see one of his players making an impact at a side rivalling Saints for promotion to the Premiership this season. Well, Taylor Stephen, who's on loan at Arbroath from the Perth side, has scored 2 goals in his last 3 matches for the Gayfield side. Here's Stephanie Daly.
Arbroath swept aside one of the early favourites to win promotion from the Championship with a 3-0 win over Ross County. On the scoresheet, Taylor Stephen, who's on loan at Gayfield from St Johnstone. Having got the better of County, the 21-year-old has also helped Arbroath gain ground on his parent club in the promotion race, with the Red Lichties 9 points behind the Perth side in third.
He came, I want to take a next step in my career, I want to go out loan, I want to go play. We found a very, very good club at Arbroath. He's playing, he's contributing. He's back now in under 21s, so that is all about, you know, these loans. And then I have to say one more thing about the Arbroath. You said they are creeping on us. I remember it was our 3rd game of the season or something. We played here, and everyone was smiling when I was saying it's a very good team.
Meanwhile, Valakari says he's learned a lot from chatting to Saints' former Scottish Cup winning boss Tommy Wright, who was back in Perth at the weekend to be inducted into the McDermott Park Hall of Fame.
Oh, I took everything. I was like, you know, I think, you know, I started to annoy Tommy, you know, one part of the night, you know, because I was there, you know, tell me more, tell me no, because firsthand, he has been here in our club, he has won the trophies, so, of course, I would have been stupid, arrogant, egoist not to listen to him, and, you know, what a great character. He had this time for me and share his memories, share his experiences, so it was all, I really enjoyed. Tommy said it, you know, best, you know, for everyone in this dinner that, you know, maybe we are not the biggest club, but we are the club with the biggest heart. So that was very powerful.
Elsewhere in the Championship, Ross County boss Tony Doherty says he's already seen a reaction from his players as the Staggies bid to bounce back from a day to forget in Arbroath when they host Ayr United on Saturday.
When you have a setback like that, the most important thing is you see a reaction. And I've actually seen a reaction from the players and trainers. They're hurting, you know, no doubt about it. As much as, you know, I came out after the game, you could see, you know, the players are hurting as well. And that was a disappointing day for the club. You know, even in particular the fact that we lost some players as well. It was a bad day, but that's what you put it down to, a bad day. And I've seen that reaction from the players and training, and I'm hoping we can improve on that as the week goes on and get even stronger for getting into a home game on Saturday, which is such a big game.
Stephanie Daly, STV Sport.
Well, Dundee United travel to Tynecastle this weekend as the latest in a long line of clubs looking to end the Jam Tarts' unbeaten start to the season. But United served up their poorest performance of the year in the 2-0 defeat at Motherwell last time out, so they've a considerable challenge to find another level when they face the runaway leaders in Edinburgh on Sunday afternoon.
There's nothing for me to feel as if there's going to be any downturn in our performances. You know, we just need to keep shoulder to the wheel, recognise we need to keep improving, keep trying to win that fight with ourselves to get better, and hopefully we can pick up wins as we do that. But Dundee United, no doubt, will come here with a game plan and an approach, and they'll think that they can get a result.
And we'll find out on Sunday afternoon. Well, to golf finally, and Bob McIntyre says he's had an 8 out of 10 year, but is hungry for more success in 2026. Well, the Auburn golfer is in Abu Dhabi. Delightful weather there, preparing to take part in the penultimate DP World Tour event of the year, and his first since that fairy tale fortnight that saw him win the Ryder Cup and the Dunhill Links. Absolutely fantastic for him. Aberdeen's game against Ike Larnaca will have kicked off when we're on air tomorrow. We'll have the latest, all the best of the action in the sport tomorrow. Do join me then. Bye-bye.
Your window to sport. C.R. Smith sponsors STV Sport.
Well, let's move on to the weather now. It's been a really foggy day along the east coast with flights affected in Aberdeen. It's very mild though, Sean.
Yeah, it's been pretty miserable out there today with that rain and very poor visibility as well. In Aberdeen, we've had visibility down to a few hundred metres. A wee bit further south in Inverbervie, we've been below 100 metres. But with that rain, also much milder air moving in, our temperatures tomorrow, wait for this, could reach 16 degrees on the Murray coast, and we won't be alone. Pretty much the whole of Europe just now, the temperatures are a good few degrees above average for the time of year, with the exception of parts of Italy and Greece. But for us, we will stay above average through the weekend and even into next week. Let's have a look.
An icy start to the day will give way to a series of oohs and ahs. TUI sponsors STV Weather.
So we hang on to the outbreaks of rain through much of the evening, so a little bit of a damp squib for bonfire night, but not a traditional one, all wrapped up in a scarf and hat. It's going to be far too warm for that. Temperatures very mild. Overnight temperatures are going to stay above where they should be even by day at this time of year. By day it should be 10 degrees. Look at that. These are your minimum temperatures tonight. 11, 12. 12 is still 54 in Fahrenheit. Let's see, we hang on to some shower outbreaks of rain. Tomorrow should be a better day. We start off with cloud, misty, murky weather. That's not going to be helped through tonight with the bonfires, the fireworks as well. So still some quite poor visibility. But hopefully through the morning into the afternoon, that clears away northwards. It turns a little bit drier, a little bit brighter as well. Top temperatures tomorrow, about a degree or two higher than today, 15. I wouldn't rule out the odd 16 in one or two spots, taking us into the bonkers 60s for November. So tomorrow, Dundee 15, 13, 14, 12. This is the graph into next week. That's your maximum temperatures. OK, that graph does come down, but remember here, we're still above average, but yeah, some pretty crazy values just now with that warmer air coming in from the south. Friday and Saturday, we've got the best of the drier and brighter weather here in eastern parts of the country. If you're heading a bit further west, though, there they will always see a bit more cloud and the risk of showers. And look at the temperatures still remaining very mild. Bye-bye.
TUI sponsors STV Weather.
And that's where we have to leave it for this Wednesday evening. I'll be here again at 10:30. Have a good evening.